It's just a very interesting way of doing things. It's a lot more complicated than I normally do. Thanks to Facebook changing the regulations for groups, you can't live stream into a group anymore. Oh, and we're live. Good. Okay, you can't live stream into a group anymore from Zoom, and so I'm having to live stream from two computers, one on Facebook and one on for everything else. So it looks like we're live. So I'm just going to share my screen until we are officially starting in about 3 minutes. And I'm going to get the Facebook group going. Awesome, Lark. So I should be live on YouTube now. And I actually feel like I want to check that. No, I'm just going to trust it. All right, so we're going to go live in the group. All right, looks like we're live in all of the places. Welcome everyone to day 2 of how to liberate your inner healer and manifest your highest life vision. I'm going to stop the screen share here on Zoom. Back to, look at the chat here. There we go. Back to our camera. All right, I'm doing a bit of a complicated thing. I'm having to stream from 2 different computers. So if you see me looking down and going back and forth, that's why, that's what's going on. But it seems to be going off pretty well without a hitch. So it's 1 minute till the top of the hour. I think I'll just go ahead and wait 1 minute so that we can officially start on time. Lots of you are still hopping on Zoom. If you're here, I'd love to hear if you were here with me yesterday and how you're feeling and what you're most looking forward to for today. So I'm going to go ahead and record this. I can do that. It's recording already on my Restream software, but I'm going to go ahead and record it on Zoom as well so I can capture the chat. Anything that you guys have to share, I love hearing about those. All of your shares. Oh, good. Lots of you guys were here with me yesterday. Awesome. I felt pretty good after yesterday's healing. So it's 1 o'clock now officially. I'm going to get started right on time because I have a lot to discuss with you guys today. And I have a really big healing for you planned today as well. We're going to go really, really deep. So officially welcome to day 2, which I have called Redesign Your Reality. Heal and release invisible blocks, elevate your day-to-day experience, and redesign your reality. So welcome back, or welcome for the first time if you are just now finding me. So before we get started, I just want to recognize that today is Juneteenth, and it's a perfect day to be doing this powerful clearing work. We still have a really long way to go as a society. And as Maya Angelou said, the truth is, no one of us can be free until everybody is free. So before we get underway, I just want to recognize that we still have a long way to go in society, but happy Juneteenth to all of you guys out there. And I just wanted to give that recognition of what today is before we dive in. So today we are addressing and clearing blocks in the form of negative beliefs and dense emotions to redesign your reality. So today you can expect this call to be about as long as yesterday, about 90 minutes or so. I think we went a few minutes over that yesterday, kind of chatting together after the healing, but that's what you can expect today. If you have to hop off at any time, just know that the replays will be there. If you signed up, they'll be emailed out. They'll be in my group and on YouTube, which is my name, Elysia Hartzell. You can find me there. And most people, it's just so interesting because I've been doing these live streams since Facebook allowed live streams, which was about a decade ago. And traditionally, the vast majority of people have joined me on Facebook. But over the last couple of years, that's really changed. And I notice a dramatic difference. This time, hardly anybody was joining me live on Facebook, and most people are joining me on Zoom and on YouTube. So it's just really interesting. So welcome if you're joining me in my Facebook group. I love my group so much. I love all of you guys in there. Thank you for being a part of it. If you are joining me in the group, you're not going to be able to see the slide presentation. If you care about that, the links to join me on YouTube or Zoom are above the video. And if you're watching the replay, the link to the YouTube will take you to my YouTube channel, and you can see the replay there that has the slide presentation. So let's just start out by thinking about what blocks we have that we're consciously aware of. So, maybe we have a block to creating more wealth in our life, but we've had a lot of money trauma in our life. Maybe we have a lot of debt and that scares us. That might be something that you're consciously aware of. Maybe you want to create love in your life, but your last relationship ended in shambles and you're still healing from that. Maybe you want to live a life free of pain, but the truth is that your body is in pain every day. So those are some things that we can be consciously aware of that may be holding us back from creating what we want to create in our lives. So I'd love to hear from you guys what some of those might be. And when I dive into the healing, if you're on Zoom with me, I'll be taking a look at some of your comments and really addressing some of that individually. So please do share. And if you're sharing on YouTube or Facebook, you're putting the energy out there. Even if I'm not seeing it live in the moment, I will be seeing it later afterwards. And I will be, all of that is included in this healing, because this work, as you learned yesterday, is multi-dimensional, meaning it's outside of time and space. And so just like you don't have to be with me in this room that I'm in right now, we also don't have to be in the same time. And the way that I set up these healing containers and the way that sacred soul alignments work is they're working outside of time and space. So when you bring your intention in, whether I'm seeing it in the moment or not, it's coming into the healing and it's really individualizing the healing for you. So please share in the comments as things come up, awarenesses come up for you as we move through today. So part of what we're talking about in this masterclass is manifesting or co-creating our realities. And most people, when they think about manifesting, they think about the tangible result. They think about, I want that six-figure income. I want that perfect relationship. I want my body to be perfectly healthy, whatever it is. I want that cup of coffee to manifest in my afternoon. They think about the tangible result, but it's actually our inner environment that is creating our outer environment. It's our belief programming. It's our emotions. It's our behaviors that come from those emotions and those beliefs that's creating the reality that we live in. And it's not the other way around. So we need to start with the internal to create the external. I'm going to move into my slideshow here. And I'm working from two computers, so please bear with me as I get this going on this other computer here. All right, good. So, as I just said, most people, when they think about manifesting, they think about the result, the external, tangible result. But the vast majority of people are creating their lives from the external, meaning they're creating from matter, that tangible result, rather than creating their lives from possibility and energy. When we're creating from matter, when we're trying to force something or create something tangibly, it's hard and we're forcing it really. We have to try to control it rather than allowing it. We have to try, we have to predict, and we're in survival mode. And we live that day after day after day after day when we stay there. When we're in linear time, we're creating from separation. So when we do this work, we go outside of linear time. And when we create something from the heart of creation or the quantum field, the results, because we're outside of that linear time, they can actually show up for us immediately, or if not immediately, very, very quickly. So when we're creating that way from the external, we're creating the same life from the same lower emotional state that we've experienced that we're trying so desperately to get out of. We're creating from that same programming that has created those painful patterns that we may be trying to escape from, trying to change. We're creating from lack and struggle rather than creating from possibility, creating from energy, creating from the quantum field or the heart of creation. So possibility does not exist within the programming that created the problem. We can't see the possibility, we can't reach it, we can't create it from the programming that's created all of our problems, all of our issues, all of our pain. Albert Einstein said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used to create them. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. So we have to do something different. When we can tap into the quantum field, which I call the heart of creation, this is when we are creating from energy and we step into infinite possibility. And this is where all possibility and potential exists. The heart of creation, the quantum field, that's where everything exists. And so therefore we can create anything that we desire when we learn how to do this and when we have the right tools to use. So when we create through our inner environment and tap into the quantum field and the possibility from within the space of the heart of creation or the quantum field, I'm using those two terms interchangeably. And when we have the right tools like sacred soul alignments, multidimensional tools, we're creating from a place of connection to all that is. Good. And we're creating from a place outside of time where we can rewire our programming to create supportive, higher thoughts that are in alignment with our goals and dreams. And we can tap into frequencies that match those new thoughts and beliefs and feelings. And from there, we can begin to manifest in the material world those tangible experiences, people, places, objects that most people are trying to start with. But the trick and the key is starting with the internal and starting from within the quantum field or the heart of creation. So if you're here in this class, I would guess that there's probably a lot of things that you've tried to manifest into your reality. And I would guess that the things that you've tried probably have not consistently worked for you. So I'd love to hear in the comments, what did you try? What have you tried that didn't work? A lot of the law of attraction teachings out there are really, in my opinion, doing a big disservice to a lot of people because a lot of those teachings, in my opinion, have it backwards. When I first discovered the concept of manifestation many years ago, I was in a pretty dark place in my life. And I had the day to myself, and I went into a little bookstore and I picked up a little book. And I read this book all in one sitting. And I went out the next day to try to experiment with something that the book had taught, to manifest a cup of coffee. Simple. And lo and behold, pretty much immediately, I manifested that cup of coffee. My mind was kind of blown because this was a new concept to me. And I thought it was magic. And then I asked the universe for a sign, for a direction that I was choosing in my life. It was a pretty big and very specific sign. Literally within 2 minutes, I immediately got the exact sign I was asking for in a way that blew my mind. I couldn't have dreamed it up, but it was a very direct answer to my question in a kind of a crazy way. So pretty soon I was practicing this stuff. I thought, wow, I have this magical ability. And when I looked back in my life, I realized I'd always had that ability. I'd always been able to think things into existence, but I just had never realized what I was doing. So pretty soon I was manifesting all over the place. Parking spaces, feathers, signs, pennies. But then I began to manifest some pretty huge negative things in my life as well. And there's a reason why I was manifesting negative things. I had the awareness of the power that I had as a creative being. But I was doing all of the manifestation work and I hadn't done the healing work. I'm going to say that again because it's really important. I was doing all of this manifestation work, but I had not done the healing work. So I was trying to create a new reality from the programming that created all of my current really painful problems. You see, this is why most people really almost believe in their past more than they believe in their future, and they recreate their past into their future because they're not making that change. Because our programming, our beliefs, they created our past. And when we're thinking the same thought, and when we believe those thoughts to be true, even when they're not, we're creating the same future day after day after day, like the movie Groundhog's Day, really. If we respond to those thoughts as if they're true, those thoughts are going to lead to the same choice, which is going to lead to the same behavior, which is going to create the same experience, which is going to create and produce the same feeling or the same emotion that we're trying to escape from. It's a cycle and it's a spiral, really. So what's really interesting is that the latest research on memory says that 50% of what we remember about our past isn't even the truth. So these thoughts and these things that are creating so much pain based on the past, half of it isn't even true. The hardest part, so what this means is that we're embellishing the story. We're either embellishing it to sort of justify the pain that we're feeling, or for some other reason. Basically, we're making things up in our mind just to excuse ourselves from changing. The hardest part about making changes in your life is not making the same choice that you did the day before. So how do we get out of this vicious cycle? If you can begin to envision a new possibility for your life in the future, and you get really clear on what that goal is, what that vision is, and you begin to feel the emotions that you want to experience. The stronger we can feel that emotion, the more love or joy or bliss or freedom or peace you feel from that vision of your future that you're creating, the more we begin to create those positive neural pathways in our brain. And we're rewiring our brain into those experiences when we do this work from within the quantum field. So remember that Albert Einstein quote I shared a minute ago. We can't solve our problems with the same thinking that we used to create them. So trying to manifest without doing the inner work is like trying to walk through cement towards our goals and dreams, because we're creating the same future as our past based on our unconscious programming. So one of my favorite quotes is by Carl Jung, and he said, "Until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate." And what this means is our lives are being created and orchestrated by our unconscious programming. And until we can become aware of that and take the steps to change it, we might think that what we're experiencing is just our fate. Maybe we're unlucky. Maybe we're doomed even. Maybe we're even cursed and there's just no way out. Maybe life just doesn't work out for us. But that simply is not true. We can change our unconscious programming. We really can, and we can change it quickly. Now, as we know, most of our programming, our beliefs, are unconscious. We have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day, about 95% of which are unconscious. We're thinking these unconsciously, meaning we're not aware of them. So it can be pretty difficult to control our thoughts when we're not even aware of about 54,000 thoughts every single day. That's about one thought every waking second that we're unconsciously thinking. And just the thought of trying to control my unconscious thoughts at the rate of one every second makes me feel exhausted, because it's impossible. It truly is impossible, even if we could, because we're not even consciously aware of them. So what if you had a tool at your fingertips that could change the unconscious negative programming in an instant? That's just one of the things that Sacred Soul alignments can and are doing, and that we are going to do together today in just a few minutes. So yesterday I said I would share a little bit more about what alignments are so that you can begin to understand what's happening. Because I'm making some pretty bold claims, right? I'm saying we can change these things quickly with these alignments and going into the theta brain state in the heart of creation. So Sacred Soul alignments are packets of energy that I myself, as the creator of them, or Sacred Soul alignment practitioners who I have attuned to them, can run them, basically send the energy of that alignment or multiple alignments in an instant. They are fast and they're easy to use, but they're very extensive. Each alignment is written with energetic code. They have instructions within them that are multiple pages long, most alignments. I call this energetic code because that's what we're doing. We're recoding our brain, our body, our reality. And each of these alignments are clearing hundreds to potentially thousands of beliefs, energetic oath vows and contracts that we have made, that we've entered into, like a contract, an energetic contract of poverty. We could have a contract for anything with anyone, with any place, any situation. They're infinite. They're clearing negative or draining hooks, cords, or attachments to people, things, places, patterns, habits, addictions. They're clearing dense emotions, trauma, Some alignments are even dissolving disharmony and disease in the body. But they're not just clearing, they're also activating positive beliefs, emotions, qualities, recalibrating and revitalizing every aspect and part of you. They have the ability to often override the false negative programming in our subconscious mind with our true divine nature. So if something is written into an alignment, so I have a lot of positive beliefs and positive emotions written into that coding. So say there's a positive belief that's written into that alignment, and for whatever reason, it's not in alignment with your soul. All of these alignments are running through the filter of your own divine aspect. So anything that comes through that filter that's not in alignment with you will not be accepted by you. So really, it's activating your own true divine nature. And they work very quickly. You see, mindset work, while it's amazing on its own and can be helpful, it's not enough. At least it's not enough to create the rapid changes that most of us are looking for. I'm looking for rapid changes. I don't want to mess around with this life. I want to create the best life possible. I want to be the best version of myself possible so that I can show up for my daughters as that, so I can show up for my partner as that, so I can show up for all of you guys as the best version of me. And mindset work is not enough to cut through lifetimes of trauma and programming. According to research, repeating an affirmation, which is one suggestion in mindset work, repeating an affirmation 3 to 5 times a day, it can take approximately 66 days to change a pattern. That's a long time. I don't want to wait 66 days and repeat an affirmation every day for 3 to 5 times a day in order to make a change in my life. There are people out there teaching to repeat affirmations 1,000 times a day. And that's a lot. So you could speed up that 66 days probably if you're doing it 1,000 times a day. But why not do something much easier and much faster? So yes, that repetition of affirmations 1,000 times a day, it will work at changing our programming over time. But there is a much easier and faster way. When we're able to directly access our subconscious mind through the theta brain state and enter the quantum field, the heart of creation, and use multidimensional tools like sacred soul alignment. Sacred soul alignment is not the only multidimensional healing modality out there, but it's the modality that I've created and that I'm using and talking about today. Change can truly happen in an instant. I have seen this countless times in my own life with clients in the 12 years that I've been using the tools that I've created, and with hundreds of sacred soul alignment practitioners in the 9 years that I have been teaching this modality. So this is one thing that I can say, I know this to be true. If you ever watched Oprah, that was something that she would ask her guests a lot of times. What is something that you know to be true? And this is something that if Oprah was asking me this question, I would say, I know this to be true, that sacred soul alignment can rewire our brains and change our realities very quickly. So most of the programming that we're holding was actually created before we were even 6 years old, before our brains had the ability to reason. And what this results in is it's like our lives are being controlled by our 4 or 5 or 6-year-old self. And the reason that this programming was created before we were about the age of 6 is that our brains, all of our brains, are in the theta brain state from the time that we're in the womb until about the age of 6. And that's why people say, that children are so impressionable. That's why, because they're in the theta brain state all of the time, from before they were born until they're about 6 years old. So the theta brain state is the state of hypnosis. This is the brain state where we are highly suggestible. So let's talk for a moment about how this unwanted, undesirable programming actually shows up and affects our lives. I'm going to share a personal story about how it's shown up and affected my life. And this is going way back to the beginning of my life, my human experience here. And I shared a post about this. If you have been following me, I shared a post about this a couple weeks ago. But I was born 4 weeks premature, and I was 3 pounds when I was born. There was not anything wrong with me physically. I was perfectly healthy. There was no issue with my lungs or anything else, but I was tiny, tiny size. And it was in 1970. My dad was in the Army, so I was born in an Army hospital in Southern California. And the protocol there was to put me in an incubator. And I actually found a picture of myself in an incubator. I had never seen it before, but I just got from my brother. My brother recently passed away, and I got a bunch of stuff that he had that I didn't know he had of our families that he probably hadn't even looked through. But a bunch of photos of from my dad's parents, and they had a picture of me in the incubator, and you could barely see. It was through these, the grids of the window or whatever. I had never seen a picture of myself in an incubator before, but it brought out a lot of emotion in me. So I shared it along with the story in a post a couple weeks ago. My parents were pretty young when I was born. My mom was 21, my dad was 23, but they were pretty wise, and they intuitively knew that this wasn't right to put me in an incubator. But they were kind of powerless, or they felt powerless back then. People didn't question doctors as much as they do now, and they didn't feel like they had much say in the matter. So I was put in an incubator for 4 entire weeks. This was my first experience as a human in this lifetime, being alone, completely alone. Nobody could hold me. Like nowadays, they know this. They've recognized how important it is for babies to be held. If a baby is in the NICU in an incubator, they're held much of that time. Back then, it was different. I was not held for 4 weeks of my life. And I grew up with very loving parents, and I had a really, really happy childhood, which I'm very grateful for. I know that's not the experience of many people. And it wasn't until I began to learn about the stuff that I'm talking about today, the beliefs and the programming, that I realized, and it was about when I was about 40 years old, when I realized how much of an impact this actually had on my life. And it made things make so much sense, ways that I had felt my whole life that I never really understood why I felt that way. The love I received as a child helped to unwind a lot of that, thankfully. If I had had that experience and then gone on to not bond with my mother or be raised in a family that was more of a cold environment, this probably would have had an even bigger impact on who I became as a person. But the beliefs that were created in the first moments, days, and weeks of my life actually had a pretty strong influence on me up until fairly recently, when I realized this and have done the work over the years to begin to unwind it. But I can tell you, even still, sometimes some of that stuff will show up for me. It created programming. Really, it was the trauma of abandonment. And it created programming that I'm alone, that I have to do things alone. I've had extreme difficulty throughout my life asking for help. And sometimes I still even have to remind myself, hey, I'm allowed to ask for help and support when I need it. I'm allowed to accept it. But it had an even bigger impact on me until I really did the healing work to clear it. So, it created these beliefs that I was alone and I couldn't depend on anyone. And it even created beliefs that I was unlovable, because as a little baby, we need that love. And, scientists and doctors and humans know, instinctively as humans, we've always known that. But science sometimes gets a little out of control and rejects what we know instinctively as humans. So it's more recognized now that we know that babies need love. They need touch. And so when we don't get it, of course it's going to create those beliefs that we're unlovable. So I was holding this programming that I was alone, that I was unlovable. And it was reflected back to me throughout my life and reinforced. And this is how beliefs snowball and become much larger than the root that they started with. So it started for me in school, because I was in a loving home environment. So it wasn't really reflected back to me that I was alone. A little bit though, when I was 4 years old and my mom was pregnant with my brother, and she was very, very sick and wasn't able to take care of me, in all the ways that she normally did. She was very, very hands-on. So a little bit in that instance, but really it showed up when I was in second grade and I started in a new school, and I had the experience that today we would call being bullied. I had no friends in second grade. I was pretty sheltered at home. And at that time, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the show, but it was the Sean Cassidy. If you're my age, you know what I'm talking about. The Partridge Family, I think it was called, maybe. No, that was a different one. Anyway, Sean Cassidy was big. And all of the girls, somebody here is probably telling me the name of the show, but all of the girls in my class had a club, and it was the Sean Cassidy Club. But this might sound outrageous, but I didn't even know who Sean Cassidy was because we didn't watch TV in my home. And so they didn't let me join their club. And from then on, I had no friends. They would make fun of me. I was miserable. I would come home from school crying. My mom would tell me that I would curl up in the fetal position every day when I got home from school, and I would cry. And this actually led to my experience led to her homeschooling my younger siblings because I had such a miserable, unhappy experience. But for whatever reason, she was not aware of this possibility. And so she made me go back to school day after day, after day after day. And that just compounded. And I had a difficult time really until I got into high school, and I decided I was going to reinvent myself. We moved to a different state, and I actually ended up in high school with some of my most favorite times. But until then, that was the first step to me kind of changing my programming without being aware of any of this stuff. I just decided I was going to change my reality, and I did. So I had a pretty unhappy experience in school that continued year after year to reflect these beliefs back to me that grew and grew and grew. And then when I was a junior in high school, my dad died unexpectedly and suddenly, and my parents had been together since my mom was 15 years old and my dad was 17, and they had such a close bond. They were soulmates. And my mom was so devastated that she completely checked out and was not there for me throughout the rest of my high school experience. And therefore, I didn't have the support to, when it's so important to plan your future and what are you going to do and how are you going to get into college. And that made me feel abandoned. So not only did my dad die and I felt abandoned, I was so close to my dad, and death is a form of abandonment. But then my mom was checked out for several years and I felt more abandonment. During that time, when all of that was new and fresh, about a year after my dad died, I met who became my husband and entered into a marriage. I got married very young at 19. That was very toxic, very abusive. For 20 years, reflected back to me. I was unlovable. I was unworthy. I had no support. I had no, I wasn't being shown love in the way that I needed to be shown love. And so this tiny root of these beliefs that started in this incubator experience grew and grew and grew and grew, and really, in a lot of ways, took over who I really was. And I had to dig myself out of that, and that's a whole other story. But you may be having some awarenesses of experiences that may have created unconscious programming for you that has snowballed. And maybe you're thinking to yourself right now that through all of this, you have become someone that you truly didn't start out as. And that can be a daunting thing to look at and to face. But if I had had the tools that I created all of these tools to help myself because I couldn't find anything that could help me get out of that, to become who I really was, to unbecome who I became through this root belief snowballing into every aspect of my life. I could have changed it a lot more quickly. But as it was, it took me a few years. I started to have these awarenesses. Fast forward 19 years into my marriage, my husband had terminal cancer, and things became very unsafe in my environment. And I took my daughters and I left, and he ended up passing away. And that was the catalyst for, that's a very quick snapshot of we could be here all day talking about that story, but that was the catalyst for my beginning to dive into spirituality. That was the time that I found that little book and discovered manifesting and realized the importance of healing work. And so then I began to, dive into the things that I was aware of around me. EFT tapping, which is a great modality, but it can be slow. Theta healing, which is an amazing modality. That was where I got my foundation, and that's where I began to really create the changes in my life. And over time, I got a few other modalities under my belt, and I began to create the tools that I've created today. So it took me maybe 4 years of doing the healing work without the tools that I've created to really see an enormous change in my life. But with these tools that I've worked tirelessly and devoted the last 12 years of my life to, change can happen so much more quickly. And I just want to encourage you, if you're feeling, oh my gosh, you're seeing these awarenesses and it might feel daunting, you really can change. And if you're devoted and dedicated to this work, that change can be relatively quick. So let's get back to the theta brain state. The theta brain state is the state of hypnosis, and it's also the most optimal state for healing because our minds are open and we can accept a new possibility. So I want to get back to my slides here. Another thing about the theta brain state is that it is literally the doorway into the quantum field. So what that really means is that when our brains enter into the theta brain state, and that's really the state of hypnosis, but it's also when we're falling asleep, when we're waking up. Some people with practice meditation are going, myself included, we're going in and out of the theta brain state throughout our day. And when we get into the theta brain state, we have the ability to access that energy of all that is, the quantum field. And I teach this through, getting there through the heart of creation. So from this place, we can change our programming and we can actually rewire our brains with new neural pathways. These new neural pathways help us create new experiences that we want to have versus the same pattern of struggle, separation, lack, and pain. We can rewire our brains into the experiences of bliss, joy, love, and abundance. So just as I gave my own little story about feeling abandoned and having that reflect back to me, feeling unloved and unlovable and alone, and having that reflect back to me, when I began to change this programming, the opposite began to reflect back to me. I had amazing people show up in my life. I began to love myself, and that began to change not only my inner environment, but my outer environment. It began to change my body. It began to change my reality because I had begun to rewire my brain. So we can train our brains pretty quickly and easily to go into theta. If you're newer to meditation, it may not come easily at first, and that's normal. When I first started to dip my toes into meditating, it started with doing grounding visualizations, and I would, at that time, this was like 2009, I think, I would visualize roots coming out of the bottoms of my feet and going into the earth. I literally could not get my mind to visualize more than 2 or 3 feet of my roots coming out of my feet and growing into the earth. And that was because I was holding so much trauma in my body and so many dense emotions in my body that I was so ungrounded. I didn't want to be in my body. And so therefore I couldn't ground myself, and I couldn't even get into meditation. So that might be you. So if that is you, that's okay. That's normal. I'm going to be hosting a 21-day immersion into the heart of creation, which begins on Friday, the day after our classes here are done. This Friday, June 21st, which is also the full moon and the summer solstice here in this part of the world. It's going to be an amazing 21 days. The calls are at 10 a.m. Pacific time each day on Zoom and Facebook using the same link that you used to get here today. They will be 15 to 20 minutes. They're going to be short, not like these classes. I'm going to be guiding you into the heart of creation. We're going to be training our brains. Our brains have a lot of plasticity. We can change our brains, and we can make those new neural pathways, and you can do it in 21 days. So I invite you to join me for that. I'll be also probably running a few alignments every day, based on just tuning into what the collective that's joining me is going to benefit from. If you join me live on Zoom, you'll have the opportunity to share what's coming up for you. And I may address that with some alignments. If you share, I'm really struggling with feeling anger today. I'm feeling really hopeless. I have alignments that I can support you with. And so if you're there live, I will be looking at what it is that you guys are sharing. And if you registered for this, I'm going to share the link here. Copy link. If you registered for this class and you clicked the calendar link to add these classes to your calendar, the 21 days will automatically show up for you on your calendar. I just put the link in Zoom for the calendar. So that's a really easy way to remind yourself. I'm not going to be sending out email reminders because I don't want to bombard you guys with emails, and you don't want an email coming in every day. That gets annoying. But this link will put it on your calendar. Excuse me. Clearing more of my throat chakra like I did yesterday. So if you've already followed the calendar for these masterclasses, this will show up for you automatically. And I'll go ahead and put that link into the Facebook live stream and YouTube when I'm done. All right, let me reset my throat here. So back to the theta brain state. So my point with that is that this is a really good opportunity to train your brain into getting into the theta state quickly. I'm able to get into the theta state in a split second now. And like I said, it was not always that way. I literally couldn't even begin the process of meditation a few years ago. And now I can do it in a split second. I've spent hundreds, probably thousands of hours meditating now, so I have a lot of practice. But I've seen this happen with my practitioners, how they can, within 21 days, you'll see a remarkable change just from doing the meditation practice. But the Heart of Creation meditation is also activated. There are several alignments that are running automatically, and then I'll be running alignments every day as well. So just encourage you to join me for that. So back to this work and back to the theta brain state. When we do this work, this rewiring of our brain, whether that's with sacred soul alignment or some other type of modality, when we do this in the quantum field, using these multidimensional tools, such as sacred soul alignment, limitless and instantaneous miracles and creations can and will happen. And I've seen it thousands of times, working with thousands of people from all over the world. By dissolving and rewiring our false limiting programming, that's what's creating our life. We can utilize the law of manifestation then to create what we actually desire to create, instead of creating the same life over and over, day after day. We can then change our lives from a higher frequency. And by changing frequencies, we are changing our bodies. We're changing our experiences. We're changing our realities. We're changing who we show up as in the world. So let's talk about brain states for a moment, because this is actually a really important part of how we create our realities, both consciously and unconsciously, and what we want and what we don't want. So these are the brain waves that science has discovered. Delta, which is 4 to 5 cycles a second, very slow. This is when we're in a deep sleep. Theta is 4 to 8. This is the state of hypnosis, meditation, the doorway to the quantum field, access to the subconscious and unconscious mind. Alpha is when you're kind of just starting to fall asleep, or when you zone out. It's when the subconscious begins to get accessed. When we're on autopilot, when we're driving somewhere that we drive every day, we kind of zone out. We're going into alpha. Low beta, we're relaxed. This is a good environment for learning. We're not feeling any threat, and we're able to pay attention. Mid beta, which is 16 to 22 cycles a second. We're focused, we're concentrated, we're learning. This is good for test taking. So right now, you're probably somewhere in low to mid beta. And we're going to be going into theta in a few minutes. And then we have high beta, which is 22 to 50 cycles a second, 3 times higher than low beta. This is when we're over aroused. Our brain gets stuck in this state. And when we're in this state, so we might be feeling anxious, stressed, which a lot of people are the majority of their day. And when we're in that space, no new information can enter our nervous system that isn't equal to the emotion we're experiencing. So that means we can't create anything other than the anxiety or the fear or the worry or the stress that we're experiencing, because we literally can't. Our nervous system is like this. We can't, there's no room for it to come in. There's also a newer discovered brain state called gamma. There's been some pretty interesting research done on this in the past few years. If you're interested in that, look up Greg Braden, Bradden. He's done some really cool research on that, on some Tibetan monks, actually. He did a really cool show that you can find on Gaia about that. So the average person spends a lot of their waking life in mid or high beta, because they're constantly bombarded with noise, with information, with choices. Our nervous systems are overloaded. And for many people, their normal lives can lead to and result in low-level PTSD. We weren't designed as humans to be in the environment that we've created. We weren't designed to have these devices that we're holding, most of the time, most of our day, with scrolling through TikTok, a new video every 30 seconds, with a million different choices for everything that we could possibly want. We weren't designed like that. And so our brains and our nervous systems have not caught up to where we have put ourselves in as a human collective. When our brains are functioning in a high beta state, we're actually in the fight or flight state. And over the last few years, this has become even more of an issue. And as a human collective, we've been traumatized. But the positive side of that is that it's caused more and more people to get uncomfortable enough to want to change. And that uncomfortability might be why you're actually here in this class today. So most people, because they are spending the vast majority of their waking hours in mid to high beta, what this means is, because remember what I said about nothing new can enter the nervous system. So we can't create anything new. So we're creating from what we know already. So we're creating 95% of our life unconsciously. That means that most people are only creating consciously 5% of the time. So that means that most people are only, think about 5%. They're only creating what they want 5% of the time. 95% of the time, their unconscious programming is creating it for them automatically. This is because by the time we're 35 years old, 95% of our programming is unconscious. So we come into this world kind of like a blank slate. That's why our minds are in theta, because we're a blank slate other than the things we've taken on ancestrally and from other soul incarnations, and things that are built into us, coded into us when we come in. But so much of our brain is open and available. So we come in with this open mind, but it gets taken up by our experiences and the beliefs that we create through our experiences. So by the time we're 35, 95% of our programming is unconscious. So if we're spending the majority of our waking hours in mid to high beta, where no new information can enter our nervous system that isn't equal to our current emotional state. So if we're in high beta and we're miserable, we're just creating that spiral, right? I've been there. So that old unconscious programming is what is controlling and creating our realities. And really, we're abdicating our power over our own lives to the unconscious programming, and we're creating the same experiences over and over. And that is why you probably feel like you're walking through cement towards your goals and dreams, even if you have been practicing manifestation techniques. But again, the really good news is that you can change this. I'm going to say this a few times because I want to really bring this home. This is not a doomsday message. It's the opposite of that. With the right awareness, which hopefully you're having right now, and the proper techniques to slow your brain down, which we're going to do in a minute, and you can do it with me for the next 21 days. Enter the alpha and then theta, which is the doorway to the quantum field, the heart of creation, and then adding to that so just even that alone, just even awareness and meditation alone is life changing. But when you add to that multidimensional tools like sacred soul alignment, your life can change in an instant and it can feel magical. And my life feels magical, and I can tell you that this was certainly not always the case. I could go on and on about that for a long time, but I think I've given enough examples. If you're in my Facebook community or you go on my sacredsoulalignment.com website, you can see testimonials from many of my clients and students and practitioners who have experienced seemingly magical transformations as well. It's not just me that's saying it. I have hundreds of other people who have had the same and similar experience. So we can change it, right? And we're going to, starting today. So let's talk about emotions. And then after I talk just a little bit about emotions, we're going to dive into the healing. I get pretty passionate about this stuff. I could go on. I could literally be here with you guys for hours talking about this stuff because it's one of my favorite topics, as you can probably tell. So I want to talk about emotions, and then we're going to dive into the healing, because we're going to be clearing not only some beliefs today, but also emotions. So emotions are the frequencies of our thoughts. We store our thoughts as emotions in our bodies. Every source of pain, and suffering, and every source of joy and bliss has an emotion attached to it. Emotions are truly the frequencies that create our realities, including our unwanted experiences, such as lack, disease, and loneliness. We also create our desired experiences through the emotions of gratitude, love, joy, hope, peace, bliss, compassion. So let's talk a minute about how we store emotions in the body and how they can turn into pain and disease if they're not addressed and cleared. So first of all, we come into this life inheriting emotions from our families in our DNA, in our chakras, in our energy systems, in our nervous system, in our cells. So depending on the experiences of our ancestors, we may come in predisposed to certain issues, such as money problems or abuse trauma or diabetes or cancer even. Most of these genetic or ancestral issues we are holding in our lower energy centers, our root, our sacral, and our solar plexus chakras. These chakras have to do with survival, with security, with love, creative abilities, and personal empowerment. One of the incredible things about this healing work with sacred soul alignment and other multidimensional modalities is that when we do this work on ourselves, we're directly affecting our families, our parents, our siblings, our children, grandchildren, future children and grandchildren, if they're holding the same issues that we're working on ourselves. So it literally does go backwards and forwards in time. It's working on a soul level. So meaning if our parents or grandparents are not here with us, as mine are not, I don't have either one of my parents, none of my grandparents, but I do have siblings. One of my siblings just passed away, my brother Aaron. So the work that I'm doing, even though they're not in their human form anymore, it's working on the soul level. So it's still having an effect on them and will affect them into the next experience that their soul has as a, in the human environment. It's working on my children. My children are amazing, and they are not only holding my stuff that I came into this life with and was holding when I gave birth to them, but they're holding their dad's stuff, which is pretty dark stuff. And they're not recreating the kind of issues that I experienced, certainly not the kind of issues that their dad and his family hold because of the work that I've done on myself. So science has actually proven all of this to be true, that we inherit these beliefs, traumas, emotions. They've proven this on studies with rats. Obviously, we can't do these type of studies with humans, but scientists call this the transgenerational effect. And the explanation really is in epigenetics. Things that affect the function of our DNA, the genetic code, but without altering the DNA itself. So what I'm saying, about how we inherit these things, this is not just some, spiritual, do not like the term woo, but some spiritual woo. It is actually scientific fact that we know to be true. So we hold a lot of inherited, so these emotions that we inherited from our ancestors that we came into this life with. We hold a lot of these emotions in our digestive systems. If you have digestive issues, you probably have stored, inherited trauma and emotions. So it's no coincidence that our lower energy centers or chakras take up the same space in our bodies as our digestive systems. Some of the emotions that create or contribute to physical issues that we experience are, of course, some of the densest emotions: guilt, shame, unworthiness, anger, resentment, and fear. Remember the scale of consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins that I shared yesterday with the emotions, and how guilt and shame are so low. They vibrate at 20 and 30. And the denser the emotion, the more space they take up in our energy field. So it's no secret that even in mainstream thinking, stress causes disease. And we just talked about how most people are living a large part of their life in high beta, in fight or flight mode, in and under a lot of stress. So we might be holding all these things in our digestive system. And then we're under a lot of stress, and that's lowering our immune system, really. And so these dense emotions, they attract pathogens. Bacteria, fungus, yeast, and viruses are some pathogens. And these are the emotions that they vibrate at. So that bacteria vibrates at anger, fear, and guilt. Fungus vibrates at the frequency of resentment. Yeast, so if you have candida issues, that's a yeast issue, that vibrates at anger and resentment. So UTIs are often a combination of yeast and bacteria, anger, resentment. Viruses vibrate at the frequency of unworthiness. And that's really barely just touching the scratching the surface of how emotions cause and contribute to disease in the body. I've created a pretty extensive library of sacred soul alignments for all body systems and many body parts and physical issues such as fibromyalgia, medical trauma. I have an immune system booster alignment. I have alignments for all the systems of the body, and the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, the pancreas, many body parts. And because most issues, if not all issues, are really multifaceted, multidimensional, when we work on one issue, we often see results in another area. So for many people, when they work on health, for example, they might not only see an improvement in their health, but see an improvement in their finances or their love life or their self-worth. Because at the root of it all is emotions. And so that's part of what we're addressing today. So finally, we get to the healing part, but all of that to bring awareness for you to what's happening, what has been happening throughout your life, and how you can change it. So during our journey today, I'm going to be running several Sacred Soul alignments. You guys received several alignments yesterday. Just as a reminder, alignments are packets of energy that I received and created, combination of received and created, through my own source connection. This modality is dissolving frequencies that are harmful, such as hidden trauma, rage, resentment, guilt, shame, dense energies that can create insurmountable challenges, deep pain, overwhelming problems in your life, including illness and disease in your body. They can also unearth hidden gifts, truth, skills, abilities such as psychic abilities, intuition, healing abilities embedded in your own DNA. Things that you may not even know that you're holding right now. So Sacred Soul Alignment can quickly align your personal vibration and frequency to universal frequencies that unlock positive energetic states of being, I meant to say, such as abundance, peace, joy, happiness, health, love, and compassion. These alignments encompass all aspects of who we are. They're working on all aspects of who we are because they're multidimensional tools and we're multidimensional beings. The emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual layers of our existence. Each alignment holds powerful magical traits, qualities, and cellular natures that already exist within each of us, and the healing experience activates and awakens these traits when you are ready so that we are able to embody them fully. They are clearing and dissolving and releasing negative beliefs, patterns, and emotions across all lifetimes. Working multidimensionally, it's possible for a single alignment to clear literally thousands of negative beliefs, patterns, emotions, and trauma that are blocking our ability to co-create our dreams and desires, which is what we are working towards, right? So tomorrow we're going to be working on recreating and designing our reality. Today, we're going to identify and begin to clear all of these things that we've spent the last hour talking about. So let's do the healing. Just a couple reminders. Please don't be driving. You may have many different experiences as you're experiencing the healing. You may get tired. You may fall asleep. You may drift off into some other plane of existence because you're going to be in the quantum field. You may see things. You may feel things in your body. You may feel hot or cold. You may fall asleep. All of this is normal. I'm seeing lots of comments. I love it. I will be looking at all of those. So I'm going to be guiding you into a meditative state, into the heart of creation. This is working multidimensionally. I think I've said this enough times. You guys get it now. Just remember that I'm also engaging some sacred technologies that are built into each and every alignment that is going to help individualize the healing. So whatever is coming up for you as I take you through this experience, these tools are going to be working for you individually. And you may feel energy swirling in and around you. And also just a reminder that by being here, receiving the healing, choosing to receive the healing, you are giving me permission to connect to your higher self, your divine aspect, for the purpose of sending the healing. I'm going to be playing my 2 crystal bowls that I played yesterday, just to introduce you again in case you weren't here. These are 2 of my favorites, the ruby and the green goddess. So I think we're ready. Here we go. So just taking a moment to get comfortable, sitting up with your spine straight and your feet flat on the ground or lying flat, settling into your body, bringing all of your awareness into the present moment, and just relax. Closing your eyes, allowing yourself to land right here, right now. Allowing your body to relax even more. And now placing your focus and awareness onto your heart and just breathe. Allowing your breath to slow and deepen. Breathing as if you're breathing directly from your heart. Allowing your inhale and exhale to slow to about a count of 5. Inhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continuing this long, slow, deep breath through your heart as you bring your awareness to the energy of compassion. Compassion is one of the highest frequencies that we can access as human beings and one of the building blocks of creation. I invite you to see, sense, feel, or imagine the energy of compassion as a beautiful pink light surrounding you. And as you breathe through your heart, just using your intention to breathe that pink light of compassion into your heart, allowing this energy of compassion to fill and expand your heart. And with your next breath, allowing this energy of compassion to expand into every cell of your body, feeling the cells of your body vibrating with the frequency of compassion. And with your focus and awareness on your heart, feeling into the heart-to-heart connection between your heart and the heart of Gaia, and your heart and the heart of creation, pure source energy. Noticing the beautiful golden light in the heart of Gaia and the glorious iridescent light in the heart of creation. And now with your next breath, simultaneously begin to breathe this golden light from Gaia and iridescent light from the heart of creation into your heart. And as you breathe these energies into your heart, allowing the golden light from Gaia and iridescent light from the heart of creation to merge with the pink light of compassion, creating a beautiful iridescent rose gold light, allowing this light to expand your heart even more. And with your next inhale, allowing this light to fill all the cells of your body, expanding beyond your physical body, going 12 feet out in all directions, filling your entire energy field, creating a beautiful, iridescent, rose gold ball of light that you are in the center of. And just taking a moment to notice how loved, nurtured, safe, and protected you are in this space. And as these energies flow in, through, and around you, witnessing the beautiful ball of light that you are in, expanding with every breath you take. Good. And now I invite you to feel into the heart-to-heart connection between your human aspect and your divine aspect, the highest aspect of your soul that's guiding you through your human experience. And now allowing your human aspect to merge with your divine aspect. And as you merge with your divine aspect, feeling yourself expanding into all of this light surrounding you. Feeling yourself expanding infinitely. Expanding all the way into the heart of creation. Expanding all the way into the quantum field where all potential and possibility exists. As we move into this healing work, just staying in your heart, breathing through your heart, connected to the energy of all that is. Just breathe and allow yourself to expand into the energy of all potential and possibility. So I'm going to call in a tool called Sacred Light Open here. Divine Love and Light. And this is activating multiple sacred light technologies. Sacred light is a different modality that I co-created with my best friend. And these technologies are built into alignments. Good. So you may be aware of energy really moving around you if you're sensitive to energy. The technology is already beginning to work. So I invite you to begin to become conscious of your unconscious thoughts. What are the thoughts that are creating the pain in your life? Allow these to float up to your conscious awareness. No more hiding. We're in the theta state, we're accessing our unconscious mind. Allow these thoughts to begin to come to your awareness. I'm going to bring in several alignments here to begin literally clearing some of these beliefs. So I'm going to call in mental fragmentation. I used this alignment yesterday, but this will recalibrate and bring your mind, your brain, and your mental body into alignment. And it really helps to begin to release those beliefs. And I'm also going to call in the mental body alignment. This is working with our mental body to to help clear those beliefs. Then I'm going to bring in a few alignments that are clearing some specific beliefs that are very common. So I'm going to bring in love yourself fully. So calling this in now into divine love and light. We are born loving ourselves, but often we do not stay in this state of blissful self-love. The world and our experiences in it create circumstances that cause us to question our worth. We can end up judging and criticizing ourselves, holding ourselves to impossible standards, rejecting who we are, even hatred and contempt for ourselves. This alignment is clearing hundreds, potentially thousands of beliefs and feelings around unworthiness and self-rejection. Also clearing and working with the original traumas that created the false programming. It's releasing embedded fears, guilt, and shame that may be blocking you from fully understanding and accepting that you are a being worthy of unconditional love from yourself, from God, Source, the universe, from others. This will return you into a state of wholeness and love for yourself. Now these alignments are still running. I'm going to bring in some more. I'm going to bring in an alignment called Insecurities Laid to Rest. This alignment is unwinding the parts and places of ourselves where we have not been loving or accepting, that we have judged, rejected, or abandoned. It will renew your sense of security in yourself and love for yourself through the lens of your own source connection. Just allowing these energies to work at the deepest layers and levels for you. I'm going to bring in loops of fear, worry, and anxiety. These are mental loops. They can be debilitating and they can steal our joy. This alignment works to disrupt and interrupt the loops of fear, worry, and anxiety that our minds can get trapped in. Bringing the brain, the mind, and the mental body back into alignment and calming the nervous system as it clears the trauma, trapped emotions, and false belief systems that are causing or contributing to these loops. It's also working to balance your body's biochemistry and anchor you more fully into your body. And now I'd like to invite you to bring to mind, what are the behaviors, the habits, even how you speak to yourself and others that you'd like to change? What would you like to commit to stop doing or saying in order to create your new future? Just allow yourself to agree and affirm that these behaviors have no place in the future you're designing. Knowing that you are in the privacy of your own mind, so you can you're safe to bring up these behaviors, even if there's something that you don't want to look at. That's the first step to changing it. It may be bringing up emotion as you look at those behaviors, and just know that we're going to be addressing those emotions next. I'm going to run an alignment here called Giving Away Your Power and Activating Your Power. This will remind you of the infinitely powerful divine being that you are, as it resolves 1,000 contracts you may have made, multidimensionally to give away your power for any reason. Unworthiness beliefs that may be causing you to give your power away. Guilt and resentment related to all of this. It's also bringing in and activating your true divine power and the ability to be safe in your power, to own your power, and to use your personal power in the highest and best way. Calling in the procrastination alignment. Procrastination arises from the essence of unworthiness and fear. This alignment will clear beliefs and emotions, oath, vows, and contracts that are the root of procrastination. It will also bring in motivation, inspiration, and authentic self-worth so that you can understand and embody the truth that you are worthy of your desires and that you have everything you need within you to bring them into your reality. Good. All of this is still running, so we're building upon this energy. I'm going to call in self-sabotage now in divine love and light. So many of us sabotage our efforts in hopes of creating a beautiful life. Sabotage takes many forms and has many root causes. This alignment clears the patterns of self-sabotage, whether you are conscious of them or not. It clears the root of why you are sabotaging your relationships, your success, your abundance, your health, your happiness. It will activate your ability to receive and create what you desire without sabotaging it. Next, I'm going to call in self-doubt and self-rejection. Divine love and light, greater changing. Trauma, especially experienced when we are young, can create self-doubt and rejection of self. This alignment brings healing to your heart and your emotional body, dissolving feelings of unworthiness and self-rejection, self-doubt and self-abandonment. This can dramatically improve patterns in your life where you are experiencing rejection, judgment, and abandonment from other people, ultimately bringing you more solidly back into an understanding of the truth of how amazing you are in this moment, and back into alignment with your own sovereignty and self-love. Next, I'm going to call in the alignment sacrifice of divine love and light. Thank you. Many people believe that they must sacrifice and struggle if they want to live life as a good person. Choices and decisions that support their own needs and desires are believed to be selfish and thoughtless. But this is not true. Nurturing ourselves and making choices that make us happy are often the greatest acts of service and love we can do for others. When we are in the energy of love, self-care, and nurturing, we can create deep energetic shifts in other people just by being near them. This alignment will clear the beliefs that you may be holding that you must sacrifice to live as a good person or for any other reason. It's also working with oath, vows, contracts, and agreements, and curses even, to live this way, feel this way, or believe this way. Resolving these on all levels. Good. So now thinking about those behaviors or bringing up those thoughts, you might have brought up some emotions. You might be able to identify emotions that are keeping you stuck. So what are the feelings, what are the emotions that are influencing these thoughts, these behaviors that are keeping you stuck? What are the feelings and emotions that you need to bring awareness of in order to stay rooted in the future that you're creating? I'm going to bring in several alignments here that are working with specific emotions. So I'm just going to name the emotion. So Divine Love and Light calling in fear, fear alignment. So this is working on unwinding and dissolving fear that you're holding, that you're experiencing. I'm also bringing in the emotional body alignment to help take this deeper into our emotional bodies. So if you're feeling fear, just allow that to come up to the surface and allow these alignments and the technologies that are working to dissolve this. Dissolving these dense emotions from your nervous system, from your cells, from your brain, your heart, your chakras, your DNA. I'm going to call in anger and resentment release. So just allowing any anger or resentment at yourself or anyone else, at life in general, God, to come up to the surface and begin to be dissolved. Allowing yourself to feel these emotions if they're relevant for you. You may even notice where you're feeling them in your body. And as you notice that, just let them release. You can ask yourself if these emotions belong to you or someone else. Just the awareness, if they're not yours, can just help them completely dissolve. Now calling in anger turned inward. Calling this in now, Divine Love and Light. So anger oftentimes, if especially for women, instead of experiencing it or acknowledging it or expressing it, we turn it inward. And that can turn into deep depression. So this alignment is really working on that anger that we have internalized. So just allowing that to come up. You may feel feelings of sadness. Just know those are getting cleared as well. Just allowing also the frequency of the sound bowls. These alchemy bowls are powerful healers on their own, and they're also working to support you in releasing. Good. Next, I'm going to call in an alignment called broken release. And this is working on anywhere we feel like we've been broken or that we are broken. Good. Just taking a couple of deep cleansing breaths, breathing all the way down into your heart, filling your lungs with air, and just release. Noticing where you might be feeling this in your body. This alignment's also bringing in the knowledge that you are not broken, that you are a divine being, perfectly whole and complete on a soul level. Good. Next, I'm going to bring in disappointment. Just calling this in now. Divine Love and Light. Thank you. So clearing that energy of disappointment, maybe life has been disappointing you lately. Maybe people in your life have been disappointing you. Maybe you're disappointed in yourself. I certainly know what that feels like. Just allowing that to dissipate and dissolve. Good. Next, I'm going to call in the grief and sorrow release. So calling this in now, divine love and light. Just allowing any grief, any sorrow that you are experiencing to come up to the surface. You may be feeling this in your heart, staying with it. Good. You're all doing so amazing. There's so much releasing. Next, we're going to bring in the guilt and shame release alignment. These are dense energies that can really cause a lot of problems in our lives. Just allowing any guilt or shame you may be holding to release. Good. I'm going to bring in the hopelessness release. Calling this in now, divine love and light. Just allowing hopelessness that you may be feeling. I'm getting an image of like this black hole, being stuck in a dark hole. Just allowing this to release, allowing yourself to begin to see a light at the end of the tunnel. Good. And for the emotion section, I'm going to bring one more in, and that is flush unwanted feelings away. So this works like an energetic flush to just flush these emotions out that are hanging around still. So calling this in now, divine love and light, and just imagine like a beautiful white or golden light coming down from above you and just cleansing and clearing your whole energy field, your body, your nervous system, your heart, your brain. Good. Now I'm going to bring in a couple of positive alignments. First, I'm going to bring in ground yourself and stabilize your emotions. So after this intense roller coaster ride of release, we're going to really get grounded here. And this is going to help bring you back into recalibration. Just allowing your energy to feel more solid in your body. Now I'm going to bring in an alignment called Believe in Yourself, which is exactly as it sounds, really bringing in the ability to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself as lovable, as worthy. Believe in your ability to create your future. Good, and I'm going to bring in one more alignment. This is one of my favorite alignments. It's called Awaken True Happiness. True happiness feels like freedom, and it's independent of other people's beliefs or desires. And this releases us from having our personal happiness influenced or restricted in any way by others. When we're happy, we're able to make decisions from the heart and to live from the heart. This alignment literally is working to activate the happiness genes, which are located in your central nervous system, your adrenal glands, and your pancreas. It's connecting your heart and your brain, bringing in the ability to understand the messages of the heart and to live in a more heart-centered way. It's balancing the brain chemistry and activating the emotions of joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment as it works to eliminate beliefs, thought forms, oath vows, and contracts that may stand in the way of true and lasting happiness. It's also releasing blame or the need or desire to have someone or something to blame, really being stuck in that victim mentality, as it activates a deep understanding of being responsible for your own reality, which is truly a crucial part of creating our own realities. So just allowing this alignment to run, feeling that activation of your happiness genes. Good. Whew. That was a lot. So we're going to anchor this in with sacred light close now, and divine love and light, create or change it. And this is anchoring it into all of the places, anchoring it into your heart, your higher heart, your mind, your higher mind, into your DNA, into every cell of your body, into all of your chakras, into all of your subtle bodies, into your earth star chakra, anchoring all of this into your soul grid, into the heart of Gaia, and into any dimension where any aspect of you exists. So when you're ready, just begin to bring your awareness back into the present moment, into your physical body. Take a deep breath and open your eyes when you're ready. So welcome back. All right, I'd love to hear how you guys are feeling. I just got a little notice on the Facebook Live that there was some connection issues, so I'm not sure how that's going in there, but hopefully well. Most of you guys are joining me on Zoom and YouTube. Feeling so much calmer, beautiful. You're welcome, everyone. Some of you might be feeling very light. Oh, good. Zoom connection was perfect, says Carol. So beautiful. Thank you very much. Solar plexus is pulsating. I love it. I want to look at all your guys' chat here. There's a lot of, and there's lots of chat going on in Zoom. I'm gonna have to go back and look at all that, see what you guys were sharing along the way. Lots of yawning, releasing that bad energy. Good. Drained but calm and happy. Much love. Awesome. Feeling relaxed, comfortable. Fell asleep for a little while. That's very normal, especially when we're doing emotional work, because it's our conscious mind sliding out of the way to go deeper into the conscious mind. Um, and that can be an indication that you would definitely benefit from repeating the healing. Mary says, wow, a lot more energy than yesterday. Yes, I told you guys we were going to continue with the intensity. Tomorrow will be a lot of energy, but it will be very high frequency energy. We're not going to be doing a lot of the clearing work that we did today, which can feel more, it can make us a little bit more tired. Tomorrow, we've got a lot of really exciting things that we're going to do. But today was definitely probably the most intense energetically. Received a lot of awareness of what caused blocks, cried, belched. Yep, that could be a release of energy. Did fall asleep during some of it. The bowls really make a difference. Yeah, they really do. Had intense emotions after last night's session. Cried for the first time in a while. Tonight felt very relaxed. That's beautiful. Fell asleep, going to repeat. Went full in and out of sleeping. Yep. I'm not surprised at all. Kind of having spiraling thoughts. So I would suggest repeating this. I felt what deep love is like intimately in a loving romantic relationship. I love that. Thank you. This was great. Lots of emotions in my heart releasing. Awakened true happiness was amazing. Feeling very relaxed and comfortable. I fell asleep for a little while. Yep, yep, yep. Not surprised whatsoever. I felt deep in the third eye. Beautiful. Feeling renewed, peaceful, relaxed, and loved. Seeing different colors of light, so much cleared. Definitely need to repeat. Yes, this is one that you guys will really, everyone would benefit from repeating this. So when I do these master classes, I do not remove them. So you can find them on YouTube. I made a playlist on YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube and look for playlists, you'll find it there. I'm also creating a guide in my group. I'm uploading the videos with the slides and putting those in my group. They're quite large files, so that's not there yet, but you will be able to find that to come back and repeat the healing. Felt like the healing got deeper levels with the sound bowls. Yeah, the bowls really are taking all of this to the next level. I mean, when we talk about meditation, and just that in its own is life changing. And then we add alignments to that, and then we add the bowls. Um, you know, it just becomes this beautiful canvas that we're creating. Can we have these in Kajabi for easier replay? I'm not able to put the free master classes in Kajabi. That's the online platform I use for my programs, because Kajabi is quite expensive and I have a limited number of programs that I can have in there. So I reserve those spaces for the programs that are actually something that people invest in. But I am going to be putting these master classes inside the Sacred Soul Alignment certification, because a lot of the information that I'm talking about here is important and relevant to the practitioners, so that you guys can talk about this stuff with the people that you're working with to help them understand why Sacred Soul Alignment is working so amazingly and miraculously. Tibetan bowls. No, they're crystal alchemy bowls. They're from a company called Crystal Tones. This one has ruby, literal ruby crystals in the bowl. They ground up. And then this one is called the Green Goddess. And they didn't release what crystals are in this one, so I'm not sure, but love that one. And then I have several of them. You can see a couple more behind me. This one is sunstone, and this one is rose quartz. And then I have a few more that are not out here right now. The 21-day program will start 3 hours earlier than these calls. It will be at 10 a.m. Pacific time every morning, which is 3 hours earlier. So that's 1 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. in the UK. If you guys would like to put those on your calendar, if you're on Zoom, I'm going to put the link here for you to, they're not there yet, but they will be by Friday. And that will automatically go on your calendar. And that starts on Friday. So we have one more day together with this masterclass, and then immediately we start on Friday. Oh, Wingfield. Every alignment you ran addresses a specific awareness I had on this day and the coming days. I'm so much better supported to create exactly what I envision. I deeply love your friendship. Thank you, Wingfield. I value and love you too. How often, this is a good question. How often I suggest you repeat? Honestly, this would be a great one to repeat weekly. And that's another reason why I think I will add this actually. So in my Sacred Soul Alignment certification course, I have a very extensive library of what I call support recordings. This would be a great one to add to that. So if you're a practitioner, just know I'll get that added for you in the new course before it starts. Yes, you can still access it if you don't have the calls on your calendar. It's just a great way to remember. It puts the Zoom link right for you there. But I'll be live streaming on Facebook too and on YouTube. There may be a couple of days that I'm not able to, that I'm only going to be on Zoom because I'm actually traveling. I'm going to Maui for 3 weeks near the end of it. And I'm actually house sitting for one of my practitioners. That tells you a little bit about what kind of a family we've created together and the Sacred Soul Alignment family. I used to live in Maui. I didn't know her then. She didn't live in Maui then either, but I used to live in Maui, and so I'm really excited to go back and have a large chunk of time to spend there. So I'm going to be traveling the last couple days of that 21-day journey. So there may be a day or two there that I am only able to go on Zoom because I have to use, it's quite an extensive setup that I have here to go live in all the places. So I'm not going to be able to take all of my equipment with me to Maui, just what I need for teaching class, which is not 2 computers and all these things that I have set up here, but it will definitely be on Zoom every day, and I'll also be most days streaming on Facebook and YouTube. And it will be recorded every day, so you can find the recordings on YouTube. So a great way to find that stuff is just subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you can click the notification to see when I go live or when I add a video. Most of my videos on there are live. So if you're looking for old videos, you can click on the live tab on my YouTube channel. But I invite you to come and subscribe because that's easy. Then you can find me easy. They'll also be in the Facebook group called Sacred Soul Alignment with Elysia Hartzell. And I'll make a guide in there and add those to that guide. So that's easy to find. Thank you, Cheryl. I definitely am going to need the break in Maui by the time I get there. Yeah, it's not on the add event calendar yet, but it will be. I just looked at it. My assistant hasn't added those yet. The Andarian green bowl. I don't have an Andarian green bowl. That might be Kim might have one. Um, I'm not sure what my green bowl is actually made of. I do have a big Andara crystal over there though, but you guys can't see it. All right, just looking at your guys' comments here. Oh, how do we find the price for the 21-day pro? It's free. The 21-day experience is free. And that's really the best way to take everything that we're doing here to the next level. You know, all of the information that I talked about today with the brain and the changing the brain and slowing down the brain, meditation is the first step and one of the most important steps to doing that. And then from that place, then we can take it further with running Sacred Soul alignments. Oh, Rosemary, I saw that you had an abandonment video on YouTube. Would that be helpful along with the one from today? Absolutely. So you can peruse my YouTube channel. There's a lot on there, a lot of healing in there. And there's also a lot of healing in my group. If you go into the guides section, which you can find at the top of the group, on most devices, it's at the top. There's a bunch of different guides. There's hours, probably hundreds of hours of healing in my group. I've had that group since 2015. There's about 18,000 people in there, and there's a lot. You could have a lifetime of healing just in that group, probably. That's all free. Ready for a nap? Yes, me too. I'm gonna go sit out in the sun. Oh, thank you, Anne Marie. The group is here. I'll go ahead and put the link to the group here. It's called Sacred Soul Alignment with Elysia Hartzell. And if you signed up for this event, that link is in your emails as well. But to make it easy, let me just give you guys the link here in the Zoom. Oops, did that send? There we go. Let's see here. What day do I suggest that we burn our release? So the burning is not part. So sometimes I will take people through an experience where they burn whatever they are releasing. And that's not something that I'm doing this time around, but definitely you can, if you filled out the PDF that came with day 2, that would be a great thing to do a burn release with, or just write down what you're releasing and burn it. But I'm not doing that as part of this. It's a powerful process, but I like to mix things up. The 21-day experience will be here on Zoom. So it'll be the same link you guys got here with today. So you can save that link somewhere if you don't want to subscribe to the calendar, and it will be that same link. It will also be on YouTube. Oh, good, Rosemary. You know, when I shared that story about being in an incubator, I couldn't believe how many people shared that they'd had a similar experience. Okay, I'm just trying to read the comments here. Have I done any specific healing for the incubator trauma? So I did a whole paid workshop called The Trauma of Abandonment. And in that workshop, I used a lot of alignments, but I also used another, so I have created another modality called Sacred Soul Symbols. And there's 44 symbols, and I have a symbol here. I'm gonna put it up here and activate it so you guys can receive the healing from it. It's called Trauma of Abandonment. Hopefully I have it in this deck. So just allow the energy of this technology to activate in your field, and this camera tries to follow me around. And this is called the trauma of abandonment. So if you really are identifying with that wounding, This is an activated technology. So just allow that to begin working in your field. And if that's something that you are really working on, you can email my team at hello@elysiahartzell.com and ask for the link for the trauma of abandonment workshop. And I think it's $47. So will I have the crystal series? So there is a crystal series of alignments. It's about 40 alignments. I'm going to talk about all this stuff tomorrow after class. But Kelly, I think you emailed about this. In the new Sacred Soul Alignment class that I'm going to talk about tomorrow, the crystal series is included. All almost 500 alignments are included in this new class. So that's going to be what is really different. So I will share about that tomorrow. Well, you have the healings timed so that we can find them again on replay. I'm not going to be emailing out reminders or links to the 21-day experience because that's just too many emails, but they will be in all the places that I talked about. So the best really way to find it is to subscribe to my YouTube channel and go there to look for the playlist. Chakra series. I do have a chakra series that's going to be part of the new class. The replay for today will be on YouTube. I will be emailing out the replay for today, yes. Is this healing able to cure allergies? Well, an allergy is being in disharmony with something. So it is possible, yes. That is not my specific focus. As you probably know, I think you're asking this because you probably know my best friend, Kimberly Carlson, who has a healing modality that is specific for allergies. So I don't specifically focus on allergies, but definitely this work has the ability and the capability for doing that. But that's not my specific focus. Yes, this is my own deck. Though the email address is hello@ElysiaHartzell.com. So hello@myname.com. So this deck is 44 cards. Wasn't really planning on talking about this during this class, but I created, well, I have a graphic designer that helped me design the graphics, but I channeled these technologies. They started coming in for me in 2020. And so I created a card deck, but I don't sell the deck. It's part of the modality. So when you, for people who come through the certification training, they get the deck. Right now, that's the only way to get it because it's really, they're tools, they're technologies. They're not like a normal Oracle deck, although I am working on creating some products with the symbols themselves, some t-shirts and different things. So those would be available eventually, but the card deck I think will always only be available as a tool for the practitioners. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Feeling your brother beside you, saying he has plans of fun. Whew, that hit me. Thank you. So yeah, my younger brother just passed away from. I wasn't prepared to get emotional like that. Whew, Aaron, my younger brother, passed away in March from pancreatic cancer. And I was hosting a retreat in Tulum, and so I immediately had to go into that. And I'm finding that I'm really just now beginning to go through the grieving process, obviously. So thank you for that, Cheryl, for that message. Oh, you have a friend with pancreatic cancer. It's not a fun journey, that's for sure. Oh, thank you, you guys. Okay, I think, thank you, Cheryl. I thought I could sit here and read your guys' comments all day. Coffee mugs, I love that idea. And yeah, if you're interested in the symbols, that's a class I will be teaching in the fall. So watch for that because I'll be doing another big masterclass like this using those symbols. But yeah, the deck is that's one of the things I'm most proud of creating, and but they're tools. They're not like a normal deck, so that's why I don't make it available. Yeah, for sure. Whew. All right, you guys. On that note, I am going to let you go. We were here for 2 hours. So tomorrow, the teaching and healing portion will be. Oh, I have one more thing to share. Let me just share my screen here. Tomorrow, the teaching and healing portion will be about an hour. And I'm going to spend probably another hour or so talking about the Sacred Soul Alignment certification. That's going to be a 9 month, just a little sneak peek information there. It's going to be a 9 month course. I have radically changed it from the last time I taught, which was last year. So the whole call will be probably 2 hours, but the healing and teaching portion will be just probably about an hour. But just for tomorrow, if you're on Zoom or YouTube, you can see it's time to become the person from your desired future. So I want you to think about tonight, what are the new thoughts, the new behaviors and habits, the new emotions that you want to bring into your future? This will be the version of you that we're going to be creating with tomorrow. So tonight, get clear on that and rehearse yourself in that new reality. I'll send that out in the email too, but just wanted to share that so that you guys can get started thinking about it. And so I will see you tomorrow to manifest your highest life vision. Can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. Remember, we did a big release today, so this is particularly important. Drink a lot of water, go lay down for a few minutes, um, go for a walk, journal, take an Epsom salt bath, any of those things. Oh, I love it. Um, Thinking about my new stuff is making me cry. Beautiful. You're welcome, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow and co-creating with you tomorrow. Much love, everybody. Have a good night. You guys are probably all going to sleep really well tonight. And I will be ready for you all tomorrow, same time, same place.